Hi, this is Kim White with the My Sexy Business team, and I am here with a crazy crew from the Book to Business Tour and my co-host,
Kristi Bridges from One Moment Wiser,
and our pusher of orneriness, Miss Connie Myers of Crystalline Moments Publishing. She has been behind the scenes working this entire conference, and I do want to say thank you.
Thank you so much
for doing all that you've done. We're actually here. We want to just take a few minutes and talk about the Book to Business Tour that we are on and we founded and we are perpetuating. It is exciting because the Book to Business Tour is helping a lot of people who haven't known how to be an author. They're learning how to do their own books. They're learning how to get published. They're learning how to do a million things with their books. And we're helping them be able to get pushed over with that book to business. Yes. Like, we're going the whole gamut of this, and it's exciting because we have an opportunity to do something that we love and is near and dear to us. Miss Connie, I'd like for you to share the experience that you had as far as you weren't an author one day and the next day you were. It happened that quick, right?
Yeah. Well, sort of. Not really. Actually, I was always told that I should write a book. And then after Tom died, I was told very significantly by several people that I should write a book. And to be honest with you, I didn't think I could write a decent email. So how could I possibly write a book? But the more that I thought about it and the more that I went through my journey after Tom died, I felt that I really had a story that I wanted to share with other people. And it really starts with the title. The title is Crystalline Moments. Crystalline meaning sparkly or clear, so moments of clarity. And I realized after Tom died that we all have crystalline moments, and that within every crystalline moment, whether it could be something absolutely wonderful or something as devastating as losing a loved one, that there is always a gift and an opportunity. And when I discovered that, and I discovered my own opportunities and gifts, I wanted to find an avenue to be able to share that with others, because I had talked to others that had lost spouses. I had talked to others that were going through something. And so the best avenue really came down to writing a book. So I decided I didn't want to be a book all about me. I wanted it to be a book that shared all kinds of experiences. So I started doing conversations with other people that had had everything from there's one story about a woman who lost 2 children 9 years apart. The conference has talked a lot about that. To another couple that won a $34 million lottery, to abuse, to young ladies that are living their crystalline moment opportunities. I mean, there was something in it for everybody. There's like 14 different conversations. So that's really how the whole concept of the book came to be. I did the interviews, and then I procrastinated because doing the interviews and putting them on paper are 2 entirely different things.
Yes.
So it took about a year for me to finally make the step, but it was a crystalline moment when I did, because I woke up one morning and said, okay, I'm going to write the intro. And what ended up happening was really, truly a miracle, because I didn't just write the intro. I wrote my story, and I wrote the next like 10 stories without getting off the chair. So I starved my dog. I starved me. Barely went to the bathroom. Didn't take any showers. And I'm sitting there typing like this, and I'm realizing as I'm reading it that they really weren't my words. I would read it back and go, "Oh my God!" And I've talked to other authors, and I'm sure you probably have experienced this as well. Once you start, when you know it's good, it just flows.
Yeah.
So that's my beginning.
I think the starting part is one of the hardest parts, and that's actually where kind of all this came from. What Miss Connie's talking about is it took a while, but then all of a sudden she had a flow. And I think that's the heart that we have towards people trying to tell their stories, is you don't know where to start. you struggle with starting. You struggle and you start and you stop and you start and you stop. And you think, oh, it's just not for me. But really, it's the biggest thing, I think, being an author or turning it into a business, either one, is that you don't know what you don't know. And when you don't know whatever it is you don't know, you have a tendency to just stop short of. You stop right before something that could be absolutely miraculous because you don't have anyone to come alongside you and help you. Most people don't know other authors. Like, we run in a circle that has authors in it, but most people don't know anyone who's written a big book, or if they have, they would never ask them because they feel like they're big time and their story is small. So I think that that's a really big part of why we do what we do. We're motivated by helping other people bring their stories. Miss Connie is not just an author. She's a how many time bestseller? 4-time best-selling author. She's got international bestsellers. She's done a lot of things that has happened quickly. Like, it took forever to get there.
To get started.
And then all of a sudden, it's like all of this stuff. So, that's a pretty amazing start. That's a pretty amazing story to make sure you understand why we're even talking about the Book to Business Tour. And I guess I should back up just a second and just say the Book to Business Tour is a team that is dedicated to helping authors not only get started, but through the process, and help them learn about turning it into a business so it's not just a one-hit wonder. It actually came out of something that happened to me like quite a few years ago. I was speaking at events, and I am an author. And when I would say that, I would have people come to me, and I also do social media marketing, but they would come to me and they would be in tears. And I don't mean just they'd be a little emotional. I'm talking they would be in tears because they didn't know what to do. They had paid a lot of money for a book that never sold to anyone because they didn't know the process. They didn't know what they didn't know. And so that's actually, like, way back I started helping some of them, but then it turned into a thing of, I can't believe how many people want to write a book and how many people want to do something, amazing. And there's not really anyone doing exactly what we do. It's actually free. I just want to say that too. The Book to Business Tour is all about our give back. We all have our own businesses and we all have other things going on, but the Book to Business is our give back to, to people, to humanity.
To the people who are where we were once.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
Because somebody had to be there for us.
Exactly. So when you wrote your first book, because you have how many books now?
Well, I have 4 books and 2 in the making. I've learned how to use synergy to keep my business going while actually writing additional material, so that it doesn't have to be, everything has to stop while I get this book written, or vice versa. You can do both at the same time, which is also part of what we help teach people.
And I think that's important for people to understand. That so my book, my first book, when I sat down to write it, I was stuck, but I had the time. I was working on my certifications, and I was getting my coaching business going, but I really had time to be able to take that time. But most people are not in that position.
No.
If they want to write a book, they've got to fit it around their life.
Yes. And it does. It takes time, and it takes a lot more time than I ever expected that it would.
Amen.
But you can learn to be smart about the way that you do things, so that you're not just hiding in a hole where nobody can hear about you. I might be getting ahead of you a little bit here, but you don't have to just be in a hole where nobody knows you exist, and then pow, you have a book to an audience of 2. You can be writing and creating at the same time that you're giving people value and building that audience for them. And that it's something no no book development process is done completely in separate stages. As you're planning and writing, you're also promoting and making some business decisions.
If you're doing it the right way.
If you are doing it a way that's going to be sustainable and really productive. If you have a story, if you have something that people need, then the people who need it need to know about it. You don't want it sitting in your closet in a pile of boxes until you die and they sell your estate.
I think that's a really important point, because what Hope to Hope has been all about is people's stories and sharing their stories so that they can help someone else. Absolutely. And if you have a book you want to write, you have a story you want to tell, if it doesn't get out there, then it's not going to help the people that you are wanting to share it with. Yes. So it's very much like Hope to Hope Conference in that we want to share our stories, we want to get it out there because there's somebody out there that needs to hear it.
Yeah. And I want to go back though,
yes,
because I asked you a question about your first book, because this is something I like about your first book.
About my first book.
Mm-hmm.
You talking about Grandpa's book?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my first book was actually just a gift of love. My grandpa, my whole life, had been telling stories, and he told a lot of the same stories, but you don't always listen to all the details, right? And as he got older, I started writing down details, because I realized one day, and I wrote a song about this, but I realized one day that his memories were so vivid and so right now, and nobody else would ever see those. Nobody else would ever experience those things, and someday he wouldn't be there to tell those stories. Mm-hmm. And so I started writing notes, and I wish I'd videotaped him more, but at first I was kind of self-conscious, and I would listen to him, and then I'd run off to the bathroom and scribble something down. And then I got a little braver, and when he and my grandma had they'd buried both of their sons, and you're not supposed to have to do that. They buried both of their sons, and their health started to decline because, it's a lot. And they were 87 and 88, and they went into the nursing home. And I went and I grabbed all those scraps of paper and this huge box of pictures Grandma gave me, and I started coming to the nursing home going, I don't recognize this person. Is this person? And these notes don't quite make sense. There's a gap here, or who did this? And they started telling me those answers. And when Grandma died that year, Grandpa's memory went like that. I mean, it was already frail, but he didn't have anybody to sit around talking to all day, and he got to where he could barely remember what we just talked about a minute ago. And for his birthday, his last birthday, I put those stories together and the pictures, and I even made pictures of mementos, like the Women's Army Corps medals from Aunt Jenny and, different things. I made pictures of those and put them together with the stories and made it in big font and brought it to him for his birthday gift. And that man could barely read, only read one full book in his whole life. And he sat there and read that book halfway through that night, and he kept going, that's exactly how it happened. And then a nurse would walk by and he'd start telling her the story. And for the rest of his life, which was only a few more months, but for the rest of his life, they would come to his room and sit there, and they'd pick up a book and flip to a page, and he'd start telling him a story. Wow. And I just want to cry, but I tell you what, most powerful thing I've ever done, the favorite night of my entire life, I think, was that night of his birthday. And so start somewhere.
I think I hadn't heard this story, so I think that brings up another point. There's a lot of different reasons for writing a book, and it might be a book that you don't want to share. Like my husband, before he died, wrote a book, but it was about his life, and it was just so that the kids would have something to go to. And so I think whether you want to write a book that you wanted to be out there and be a bestseller, or if you just want a book that's going to share your family's history and stories, It's well worth doing and telling the story for exactly the reason that she's talking about.
Yeah, this is, this group or this team for Book to Business is the perfect team. Not because anybody on the team is perfect.
Oh, wait.
Definitely not because we're perfect. But it is perfect because we all come from a different place of why or how. We all have our own method. This is another cute part of our story, is we all have our own methods. Some of us, we won't discuss which ones are which. Some of us will pound out on the keys and not take baths. Some of us will,
she hasn't been writing today.
Some of us will sneak off in the bathroom and write notes. And then there's others of us that don't want to take the time to do all the work to write a book. Just being honest. And, I actually have found some really sexy ways to get a book done very quickly and a lot less painfully. So we teach all that in the tour. Like we talk about, and again, I want to stress, this is not something that we're out there trying to get a lot of money from you. And, we're not trying to sell you anything.
Are you selling tickets? Because
what
I haven't got any money.
I was going to say, I didn't get any percentage. What's that about?
We have done this as absolutely a give back because we believe that people's stories matter. Now, if you want to hire us for different parts, you get to know us and you want to hire us for what our businesses do, that's fine. But this tour is not about that.
Right.
This tour is really about helping you get started, helping you stay on track, helping you focus on what it takes to get a book done. We teach about the different kinds of publishing because there's self-publishing, there's vanity publishing, there's actually
traditional publishing. Yeah, there's no publishers.
There's all kinds of things that you have to know to make wise choices. We don't have all the answers and we never pretend like we do, but we give you our experiences and we give you all the collection of wisdom and knowledge that we've gained from doing this. My 5th book is coming out soon. So I have a little bit under my belt. Miss Connie has a little under her belt and Kristi has a little under her belt. And we're all just enough different in what we're doing that it's a really good collaboration. We collaborate to do this tour and we do make the sacrifice of time. We give our time to do this and it's really magical what happens. The things that come out of this are pretty amazing. I actually don't even know the number. We have had well over 100 books published, helped authors publish more than 100 books. That's a pretty impressive thing. We're not big time. I'm going to just put that out there. We're not big time. We're not looking to be big time. We're just looking to help. We want to make a difference in telling Grandpa's story or telling the story of a loss or giving hope or
leadership. I've got 3 leadership books I'm working on. So.
Yes. Miss Connie's definitely one of the leadership. And I have to point out, I know I'm going to get in trouble for this. I have to point this out. Do not underestimate this little white-headed grandma because
we're not supposed to call her that.
Because she actually has an entire training series on kick butt leadership. And we haven't talked to her about the first name that it was going to be. And so I'm just saying.
You don't have to say it out loud for it to be true.
So don't underestimate what the power of collaboration is and the power of getting help. If you need help with something along the line of that, please don't stay out there and wish you had done something. And then 20 years later, you're saying, I sure wish I would have. And it's the same, I wish.
I think that's a really important point because I wish that I would have sat down with my grandmother and taken the time to write down her stories. And even my mom had incredible stories. And some of them, all of us remember. But if I could have really sat down with her and did what you did, take the notes. And I think that's probably one of the key reasons if you've never thought about writing a book. I think that's one of the key reasons to write a book, just to pass the stories along, because we all have incredible family stories.
Absolutely. I'm actually part of a group right now that's inspired by that same idea, and we're going to help people get those stories together. Don't underestimate yourself, and don't worry what other people are going to think when they see it in print. Obviously, you don't want to throw somebody under the bus if they're still alive, right? You want to ask for permission. You want to have the honest discussions you need to have with people, and not just throw them out in public without talking to them. These are sensitive things, but don't be afraid, because you've heard the stories that have been told this week. It's healing to let out those things that we might have hidden in shame, those things that we might have hidden in pain. It's healing to talk through those things and be able to express the hope on the other side.
And I don't know if you all have questions, but I do know that if you all will post your questions on this, either the live or the replay, you can still post them. Mm-hmm. We will get to as many questions as we can, because we want you to be able to, not regret. Not have regret.
And then there's one other point we haven't talked about. If you're in business, and if you want to be an expert, it doesn't matter. You can write the book and never even actually, publish 1 or 2 copies of it. But now you've written a book, and you're now the expert, because you can say you're an author. Mm-hmm. You naturally become an expert when you've written a book.
Adding on to that is such a great point of why to look at the purpose of a book. Mm-hmm. If you don't even feel like you're an expert, because you take what you do as you just do that. But here's the thing: when people are looking for something, and I'll just give you an example, if you're looking for a marketer, mm-hmm. and a marketer, that they're all three got similar qualifications, but one is an author. One has written a book on marketing. It's perception that, one of the other ones might be even better, but because they have written a book, their perception is they're the expert. So exactly. You can increase your business even if you don't want to tell your grandpa's story, or you don't want to,
It's a great advertising tool.
It's a great marketing tool. It's a great thing for business to come in. And if you're deemed the expert, things can move really quickly in your business that you have no idea.
And you honestly have to do a little research to come up with a book about your field. You can't now. If you have enough experience to completely wing it, then you are an expert. But if there are areas that you're not completely expert at, by the time you get done writing your book, you will be.
Exactly. I think another thing is, it doesn't matter how big the book is.
Mm-hmm. True.
I was at a networking meeting just a couple of weeks ago, and this man came up, and it was a booklet about the size of my hands, mm-hmm. and it probably had 20 pages in it, mm-hmm. but it was a book. Mm-hmm. And it was an incredible marketing piece, and it had good points in it. It had 3 or 4 points. I'm like, wow, that's good to know. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be, a 400-page novel.
Encyclopedia.
Exactly.
That's right. And we've helped people that wanted to write children's books. Mm-hmm. We've helped fictional and non-fictional writers. We've helped autobiographies. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any
self-help
books,
curriculum.
We've actually helped with curriculum. Trying to think of what else. Reports, magazine articles. Kristi was just published in another magazine article. Yeah. So those are all things that still fall under the writing. They still fall under the book category that you don't realize. You can write an article for a magazine that's in your industry, and that also will give you something else to, it's like a feather in your cap. Yeah. It's just a feather in your cap until somebody looks at you with it and says, oh, they have a feather in their cap. Mm-hmm. They have something going for them that I need their help.
It's another thing for people to see you online doing as well.
Yes.
I don't know what she's going to say. I don't know if I'm jumping ahead or not, but here's the problem with being coached by the marvelous Kim White is sometimes you say her points for her without realizing.
Stay away.
But I'm just gonna say, if you have a business, like Connie was saying, write a book. But if you have a book, don't stop there.
Yes.
Make a business of it.
Absolutely.
My publisher from Wisdom Better Than Wishing said that the average author sells maybe 300 books in their lifetime. Now, if you're paying a vanity publisher anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000, and you don't have to, you can do it a lot less expensively. But if you're paying for, let's say, a whole bunch of copies to take to a book sale somewhere, well, are you making that money back if all you have is a book? Probably not. But if you have a business and you've turned that idea into something that helps people beyond something that they set on their bathroom shelf and read periodically, if you turn it into something that helps them on a daily basis, then you can go a lot bigger.
Well, we're very much into streams of income. We're very much into and I'm talking about individually, like personally, we each have businesses and things that we
well, that's
do.
what sexy business is all about.
Exactly.
We are grateful for sexy business.
What is that thing called that she talks about stacking or something like that?
Yes, baby.
Okay, girls. But
okay, so you know what? You've been fan clubbing all over some of these people. We can fan club on you. Kim's like, this isn't about me.
This isn't about me. They're so cute. But I'm telling you, they are completely out of control today.
We are blessed.
We are blessed.
Yes.
Well, and I do appreciate it. I think you both are adorable. But here's the thing. Businesses can come from a story. You don't think that a story would become a business, but it absolutely can. And the streams of income that can come from that can be, maybe you don't want to be a speaker, but maybe you do. Speakers come from authoring books. I mean, that's a great place for people to find you, to invite you to speak at their conference or their event, or come into their company and train, or there's like a whole list of things. But you also can do a lot of things. A workbook, a journal,
a how-to book,
coaching.
All kinds of things. A lot of authors turn into coaches. They actually turn around and coach other authors. They coach businesses. So, I mean, there's like so many things that you can do with just the beginning of, having a story. Yes. I do want to tell a terrible story. And I just warn you, it's a terrible one. But one of the things that motivated me in the beginning of all of this was these people coming to me crying. I didn't finish telling you about what was going on. They had paid for these books and they weren't selling them. And so what happened was they looked at these books, they got this baby. They looked at this thing that they had put all this effort into and all of this time and themselves, and that was their baby. And now the world was telling them their baby was ugly because no one was buying it. And so the tears were, I don't know what to do. I don't know why it's not selling. I don't know, what the problem is, but help me. And that's where the business side, came in, was that a lot of people get to that point and they stop short of the magical parts, the business parts. The business parts are the sustainable parts, the long term that you can do with a book. And I don't want to overwhelm you with too much detail, but I do want to encourage you to think about it. What would you do if you could write your story and build a business around it? What would your life look like? Like, how different would your life look today if you had done that 10 years ago? How different would your life look 5 years from now if you started doing it today? So I encourage you to connect with us and find out where we will be. We do have a tour the rest of this year. We don't know what will come of next year. Like, we don't know what it will look like next year. But this year we are committed to going to as many places as we can, giving free. I don't know if they're really seminars or events or workshops.
Yeah, I'd call them a workshop.
But they're free. We are giving them to you as a gift. You get a workbook when you come that helps you be able to get started, and it touches on the business aspects. It touches on a lot of things. We're working on an advanced one so that we can take the ones that already have the books and help them through a workshop of what the possibilities are.
You know, a couple of people just today, have talked about planning. Our most recent interview with Joe and Christina Moffat, they each, before they met each other, they had each sat down and made a list of the kind of mate that they wanted, but also the kind of person they needed to be to get that. My Aunt Debbie, who was on earlier, talked about a planizer, a music practice planner that she had created. Kim's a huge fan of planners and has a great goal accomplishing course. Here's the thing, like Kim was saying, who could you have been if you'd already done this? Well, who would you like to be? And who are you going to need to be to accomplish what you'd like to accomplish? Rip Castaris, who was talking to us yesterday, and he's the artist who started when he was little, just said he found things that ignited his passion, ignited his interest, because then he knew that he would make good grades at them. He knew that he would pass those classes and he could continue to develop his art. So you find that thing that ignites you, and don't think about it, start it. Because once you start it, it's like a workout though. You stick with it for at least 10 minutes, okay? And once you start it and you stick with it for 10 minutes or so, pretty soon it's 4 hours later and you're like, oh my goodness, I should probably make dinner, but who cares? Anyway.
I do agree though that getting started, that is just the hardest part. And wherever you're at, you've got to get started again if you've stopped.
Yes.
Because I know a lot of people will come to us and say, I've been writing for years, but it's all in my attic, or it's all, put up in a trunk somewhere. And that's great, but what is it going to do for the world if you leave it in that trunk or in the attic? So if you have a story that you want to tell and haven't figured out how, if you have things already started, but you don't know where to go from here, if you already have a book and you don't know what to do about marketing it, if you're already a bestseller and you're already marketing it and you already have a team doing all that, you don't need us.
No.
We're talking to those that need us. So if you have a business and you need to write a book to go with that business, there's so many little connectors there, but please take advantage of the opportunity that we're offering. One of the things that's hard for us is to have a gift, want to give it to someone, and no one show up. So if we're offering the gift to you and you don't show up, how sad is that for both of us? That we don't have the ability to give it to you and you don't have the ability to get it if you don't show up.
I do have a job for those of you who have written books and are already in that field. You can connect us with people who are the you 10 years ago. You can bring us to your town and let us host a book to business workshop for those people who are just starting out.
Yes, we have actually gone into, over the last few years, we've been in all kinds of industries and businesses. We've been in libraries. We've been in big conference halls. We've been in conference rooms. We've been in hotel meeting rooms. We have been in
restaurants.
We've been in, I was trying to think of another one that we went in. We've actually been in retreat situations, like where we were at some amazing location and got to do one at some pretty amazing spots. We've done them outside. We actually had one that I get tickled every time I think about it. We weren't finished, but we got the time wrong. Oh. Like the time zone thing. This is the princess problem. I did not understand the time frame, and they didn't the people that were coming. We were in a different time zone.
Uh-huh.
And so we didn't get connected until about an hour after the 2 hours that we had.
Oh.
So I'm just like teaching away, and they come in and want to know why we're not out of the room. And so I said, I don't know what to do except to go out to the sidewalk. So we actually finished the workshop out on the sidewalk.
That is commitment.
And they
Professional.
and they stayed. I mean, they were
Well, it's that good.
eating it up. So I just laughed because we have all kinds of funny stories to tell. But that just
Yeah.
came to me.
That's just awesome.
That's just showing up and following through.
That's right.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, please do connect with us, and we can get you a schedule, or we can notify you when we'll be in your area. Or if you'd like to be a host, it doesn't cost, like we don't charge anything. We're just coming to be a blessing. So if you have some place that a book club even, or a library, a Toastmasters, whatever it is, we've like spoken at all of those.
Yeah.
So if you want to have us come, send us an invite. You never know where we'll show up.
Talk to your church group even. How many people in your church want to keep their family legacies? Or how many people in your gardening club want to pass on their secret tricks? How many people in your cooking club even want to tell the stories that came with their family recipes? Or
What if
is there an expert there who would like to be bigger than they are right now?
Or you have a product you've come up with and maybe you're selling it on Amazon and you would like to teach other people how to make that product and the process. That's a great way of adding credibility to your product.
Absolutely.
The possibilities are limitless. They're
Pretty
just
much,
completely unlimited. But here's the thing. We only have so many hours of the day, and we all do have businesses.
True.
So here's the thing I'm just saying. We are not begging for someplace to come. I want to clear that
Yeah,
up.
please.
Yeah.
We have more opportunities usually than what we can, accept.
We have lots of opportunities, yeah.
But sometimes, especially when we're traveling and doing other places, we can stop by somewhere for the couple hours it takes for a workshop.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have some place, please don't hesitate to ask. Like, don't think, we can't ask them. Ask us. Don't be mad if we can't do it, but ask us so that we can try to help everybody we can. We're working on some more online stuff so that we can get it out there online and hit more people up, help more. But until that happens, just connect with us.
That's right.
That's
Absolutely.
all. That's all we can do. That's what we offer.
That's what we can do.
If you don't want us, we're not your flavor, then we love you anyway. So anyway, this is the Book to Business crew.
Yeah.
We're going to sign off at the Hope to Hope conference so that we can get to the last session in just a little bit. We will have one last final hurrah. We're like kind of sad. It's the end. This is the end of the 4th day.
But
I
now
can't
they
believe how
have to
fast
take
it's
everything they've learned or heard and go spread it.
Yes. If you've missed any sessions, go back. I know I'm going back just to listen to
I
some
am
of the
too.
speakers again. They said such profound things.
Yes.
So anyway, thank you guys. I'm Kim White with the My Sexy Business team.
I'm Kristi Bridges with One Moment Wiser.
And I'm Connie Myers with Crystal and Moment Publishing.
Yes.
And we're all the Book to Business.
And we're all the Book to Business.
Thank you guys.